Now let's go ahead and do our task 1.1, which is to identify the relative humidity and the dew point of the following given temperature of dry and wet thermometer. So first, here is the given, or here are the given. So for our dry thermometer, the temperature is 28 degrees Celsius. And on our wet thermometer is 22 degrees Celsius. So what is the first thing we need to do is to find the difference between the dry and the wet thermometer's temperature. So it should be 28 degrees Celsius minus 22 degrees Celsius. So the difference is 6 degrees Celsius. The things that you need to remember is the D and D, which is the dry and the difference of the dry and wet. So the difference is 6 and the dry bulb is 28. So the answer here is 19 degrees Celsius. So what we need to put on the dew point is of course 19 degrees Celsius. Now let's go ahead and find out what would be our relative humidity with the use of our D and D. So the difference is still 6 degrees and still the temperature is 28. So the answer here is 59% relative humidity. So, good afternoon, sir. I am Mark Del Gonzaga, and this is the task 2 and task 3 of the CO1 of our subject, which is the barometer reading. I wrote down here the task 2 and task 3 scenarios. So, here is my explanation with regards to the given task. So, on standard barometer reading for having good weather is 1013.25 MB. It means that if the barometer reading will go down from that certain standard, it means that the weather is bad. When it goes up, it means that the weather is good. So let's go ahead and look at the task 2. So here is the task 2. In task 2, at 0-100 hours, the barometer reading is 1002 MB, which we all know that is very far from the standard barometer reading for good weather, which is the 113.25. So at this point of time or point of hour, we expect that there are very rough sea, overcast skies, heavy swells, and high heights or high wave heights. And on the next hour, which is the 0-100 hours, the barometer reading is still very low, which is 1003 MB. Still the same condition. Expect that there are continuous raining, very rough sea, overcast skies, and heavy swells as well, up until the 400 hours of time, which the barometer reading is still below the standard barometer reading for good weather. At 0-400 hours, the barometer reading is 1008 MB. But this time, since it is slowly going up, so we should expect that the weather condition is slowly getting better. So instead of very rough sea, we could see now just a rough sea, rain, and a confused slow swell. Uh, Up until to 0800 hours, which is the reading already is 1012 MB. So expect that at this hour or this time, the weather is now calm. There is no more rough sea. I mean, there's minimal rough sea, minimal crest can be shown on the environment, and swelling is also very minimal. And then let's go ahead on the task 3 barometer pressure reading. So the first given is at 1200 hours, which is the reading of the barometer is at exactly 113 MB. So expect at this time the weather is good, and we can see here that the barometer pressure reading is slowly getting to lower number. So expect that from 1200 hours to 2400 hours, the weather here is from good weather to bad weather, as we see here that from 113 MB at 1200 hours turns to 1000 MB. 1013 MB from 1200 hours turns to 1000 MB at 2400 hours. So expect from that range of time, the weather from good weather turns slowly to bad weather. So let's explain it truly first. So at 1200 hours start 1013 MB, so good weather. 1600 hours slowly going down, the barometer reading now goes to 1010 MB, so still a good weather. However, there is now some significant of the bad weather is coming. So at 2000 hours, the barometer reading falls down to 1006 MB. So at this point of time, we should expect a rough sea, rain, and confused slow swell. Might as well at 2400 hours, which is the reading of the barometer pressure is already at 1000 MB. So expect that at this time, there's continuous raining, and there's a very rough sea, overcast sky, and heavy swells that is shown on the environment. However, at 0200 hours, the barometer reading is going up from 1000 MB to 1008 MB. This means that from bad weather at 2400 hours now turns slowly going up, or slowly going to a good weather, as what is being shown here. So to sum things up, in the task 2, the barometer reading is going up. So it means that from 0-100 hours, the weather is bad and turning into a good weather as it reaches the 0800 hours. As what we can see here, the barometer reading on the task 2 is the barometer is going up. On the task 3, the barometer reading is slowly falling down. So it means that on the task 3, from good weather, then it is slowly turning to a bad weather. However, on the last two given example, the barometer reading is going up. So it is going down, good weather to bad weather, and then to good weather. So that's it for my task 2 and task 3 of